We've got teams to go through. We've got questions. There's plenty to talk about in this one. All of those topics that you're asking in the comments, they are in this video. So much better to go through this video each and every week, guys. Appreciate you for being there. We've got questions on Bostock, Matto, who we didn't touch on in that last video. We've got a deep dive on Hosking, and we're going to go through all of those teams there that have sent through. So big thank you to those guys. We have icewallowcome 84 there. Coming off a pretty average week, 5,000 is okay on that last one. 25,000 overall. We've got 85 in the bank. I want to get Hosking. How would I get him? So we'll clearly go through Hosking in a second, just before everyone asks about him. Is there any other trades I can do? Getting another middle or center wing cover. So if you look at this squad right down here, we've got wing fullbacks. We have some decent money down there, so we're not going too cheap there. You do have center and wing cover with Warbrick, with Isaac Thompson, with guys like Hayes Perham and Tedesco. I don't think you need any center wing cover anymore. I think you should be trading one of those guys to the great man, Zach Hosking. And that really shores you up, obviously, through the edges. At the moment, you've got Preston and Katoa and Cheekham. So plenty of guys in there, but you need some cash generation as well, with guys like Katoa, Ben Murdoch-Masila, and Isaac Thompson not really doing much for you down there. Tanner Boyd's someone I think you should probably hold now, with him covering both your hooking position and the halves. So I would look at potentially a Nickel Klukstar, a Perham, one of those guys there that are sort of just a little tad over 400k, and that's going to help you get to a Hosking. It obviously won't get you straight there, but I think that's the way I'd be looking to go with those two guys there. And then Cheekham, one of those guys that you can move on from next week. So potentially, it makes it very, very hard for you to get him in this week, just because you'll be that little bit short. If you're fine moving on one of your other guys, like, I wouldn't suggest going and getting rid of Hammer or getting rid of, or Bird, for example, but it definitely could be the play, because getting Hosking is going to be important. I think Bird's the keeper, but how you want to play that one is up to you. So let's go through Hosking right now, because there are some pros, there are some cons. The cons are that Liam Martin comes back next week, and so does Garner, and Hosking is out of this side. There is some concerns over that. There are some lesser concerns over the fact that he is going to keep his spot over Garner when Martin returns, and then that's great news for Hosking and his owners. The big pros and the reasons why you would not fade him either this week or next, I think it's fine if you've got guys that are making cash. Maybe that's a Cartwright and he then loses his spot to Sean Lane next week. You could go Cartwright to Hosking. They both make a similar amount of money this week, about that 50 to 60k. If all goes sort of normal, they both score about 50, 55, then you're not losing out on too much, because you kept Cartwright and you get Hosking next week if all goes to plan. But really with him, the main issue is that if everyone picks him up and he goes exactly how we think and he keeps his spot, he's got at least 200k to make. He's going to average 50, 55, and you get left behind, obviously, with the points total and then the cash generation as well. Cons for him, in terms of his playing, there's not a lot. So you'd imagine he gets to 80 minutes there. There's a chance that, he loses some minutes to guys like Jamin Salmon, but I really highly doubt that. I think, they might change their bench a little bit just to accommodate Hosking playing that full 80 minutes. And there was a game there in round 2 when Garner did really well and got close to 80 minutes, and it didn't really do much to their bench anyway. So I think Hosking there, the kind of the big pros and cons, just that little bit of job security is the issue. So I don't see a main reason why you can't wait either. Obviously, the cash generation. If you have a pretty solid 17 right now, there's not a big issue in waiting that week, because you're going to get good scores across the other players in your 17. And then you completely find out exactly what's going to happen with this team and if he continues to keep that spot. Other pro there is Liam Martin is carrying a hamstring injury. So any of those are generally sort of 1 to 3 weeks, and he's already missed, this will be the second one. So potentially could miss another one, or if it's actually worse than first thought, he could miss that extra one there. So that's kind of the general thoughts with Hosking in that one. Let's move to the next team. Vatavai Soap, how good. 17,000 overall. Have used all the allotment of trades so far. 30k in the bank. Got 948. Was best score so far, finally, which was good. Obviously, just missed out on a few of the top tier guns. And has had Sammy Walker on the pine there. Not sure if thoughts want to bring in Hosking for that high ceiling, but I don't think there's a clear option to trade him for. Not sure if I play Warbrick or Thompson, but Campbell Graham is being too greedy lately. Yeah, that's so true. Good if you own Campbell Graham, but he even has the odd low score as well. So obviously plenty of cash up top there. I wouldn't be trading any of Wilton, guys, if you're looking at that, Cartwright or Trent Leoro. both all playing really, really good. 30k in the bank does make it pretty tough. So guys that you could trade out as someone like Isaac Thompson in the wing fullbacks, really no one there. You could try and loop that wing fullback position, my man. When you've got Thompson, who's earlier in the week, you can put him in the 6, and then you could loop Talau into Warbrick. I'll show you how my team is set up to be able to do this loop in the trades video, so be sure to check out that one if you're looking to learn how to loop. I think for you, man, there's probably a world where you don't trade at all this week, and you keep this side. You hope Katoa makes some money. You hope Medok gets a decent score. You hope Thompson has a bounce back, and all the rest of your cash cows continue to make money, because that's the best part of your team right now is the cash generation. So that advice, Soap, good luck with that one. Let's go to the next kind of questions there. We got Bostock, and if you look at his output, he's a youngster, so he's an under 20s player now, and he has plenty of big raps on him. I know Rugby League Guru talks about him a lot, and I dived into his stats for this year. He's played 2 games and has tackled pretty well. He's made 27 tackles for 4 misses. One of those games he had the full 4 misses, and the other one he made all these tackles, which was great news. I think it was 16 and 11. So 16 and none and 11 and 4. So not great, that first one, but running the ball was solid, over 100 meters in that one. I said you got the tackles. He was playing center though, and he's playing wing this week. Can he come out and do well with the Dolphins having a pretty tidy couple of games the next few? For sure. Is there a risk there? 100%. Guys like Edric Leah are sitting on the pine there, coming back from injury. He could come back and take that spot. If he doesn't and Bostock plays well, he's got a 4-week runway. So you could use him as a cash down. And him or Hands this week, I think Hands is going to be a bit safer. Bostock could get a couple extra games in the team. And if there's any other injuries in the back line, you'd imagine he either goes into centre and a wing fullback spot could be his as well. And then Matto came out and had an absolute banger last week. I think he's going to be that high 50s to 60 type of scorer this week. So if you're looking at Matto, which we didn't speak about in that last video, I think he's a great one to slot in your side. Let's look at the next guys. We've got the SJ GOAT. Any thoughts on what I should do with the team? With 165 in the bank, I think I can make some moves. Who are the trade outs in this side? Who are some people I should be aiming at getting in? Thoughts on what to do with Reed Marnie? I think you hold Reedy. Thanks, Jaime. Just know if you want to get on my nerves, then call me Jaime. Jai is Jai, and then me. So it's Jmie. Come on, sort it out. I'll look after you this time, SJ GOAT. But sort out the spelling. Feel like the bench is pretty soft. So should I use this 165k to go from Dury to like a Lemuelu, or go up from Boyd to likes of Brayley, Frizzell, even Hosking, or just anyone around that 650 mark there? Okay, so you got Reedy up top. It might be ideal to partner him with a Brayley. There's definitely some merit for that, but I also think there's merit in holding Tanner Boyd this week. The only issue here, you have Blory, Talau, and Boyd on the bye this week, so you're probably going to take a little bit of a hit. Thankfully, you get the returning Suoli'i. I'd be holding Suoli'i now, to moving on someone like Bloor, Talau, or Harley Smith-Shields. Blory has a chance of coming back, and he's got that low break even, so I think he's someone that's fine to hold. You had an okay rank last week, so the cash in the bank, I think going from Dury to Lemuelu could be solid. If you do want to go Tanner Boyd up to Brayley, I don't have a clear issue with that. If you want to go Harley Smith-Shields up, then that's fine as well. I don't think you can get Lem in that move there. Look, there are people trying to move on guys like Murray, and I completely understand why you would do that. You do have good coverage in the middle position with Ford, but then you don't have anyone to follow that. So there's some issues there. I probably wouldn't suggest it with your team, but for those teams that have a lot of mid coverage, that would be why you'd potentially move down from Murray. So you can go 2 good mid-rangers, a Hosking and a Lem, for example, that could do well and get you some good cash upgrades. Very, very hard in this one. The Dury up to Hosking or Tanner Boyd up to the great Brayley, I think would be a good one just to really shore up your side, get some good scorers, get some guys that are going to continue making some money. But I completely understand why you would stick with Tanner Boyd and just make the Dury move up is the other way to go with that one, because he gives you some good help going forward. Okay, we've got Gordy Talus in there, but first let's go to the next one. Which Origin guns are worth holding during the bye period? So when you want to think about this, the best thing to do is go back and check that video I pop out every week on the bye schedule, the next 3 games. And what the guys you want to be looking at, so have a little bit of a research yourself, is the guys that are playing Origin that have their already have their team bye in 13, 16, and 19. If they have 2 of their byes in 13, 16, or 19, then they are a great person to hold because they're going to be missing that game anyway. The last thing you want is for them to be playing in round 14, which means that they are out in 13 and they have their team bye in 14 or 17 or 19 or even 16 or in 15, for example, when they would miss 15 and they would miss 16. So having those type of players that, a lot of players are going to have buys in all of those weeks anyway. So you are going to have to hold players. You can't just go, oh, I'm just avoiding all of the Origin players because most of them only miss 1 extra game compared to everyone else. So that's what I'd be looking at. And when you're looking at making trades week to week at the moment, that's something that should be in the back of your mind, given that it's still a while away, but definitely something to keep an eye on in the next few weeks, that's for sure. So Gordy Talus is there. We're looking at his score and ranking there, 3,434 overall, 1,435. Had a solid one last week and to save 2 trades so far. So good work. Not sure what to do with Harris, whether I trade him or not. Need a hand with sorting out my trades and where to go from here. Trade options are Harris and Warbrick to Walker and Hosking. Probably wouldn't look to bring in Walker just for the fact that you're probably going to want at least one of Cleary and or Hines. Harris and Boyd to Johnson and Hosking. Harris to Cleary. Gee, if you could do that straight up, I'm pretty happy with that. Boyd and Blore to Walker and 230k player. Mate, if you can go Tohu Harris, just because he's obviously not going to make you much money now. We're not sure how he's going to perform, and you're going to be wanting one of those 2-gun halves. So you need a half anyway. So I think Tohu Harris to Cleary is just a no-brainer. I just think straight to Cleary is your play here. Let's just not go with anything else, really. The rest of the team is looking fine. You've got Moses and Cleary now. That shores up your half position. And don't have to trade Boyd out. You've got him as cover for the hooking position and the half. Let's lock in that. Gordy, tell us. I just wanted to bring this one in, just how good the photo was. Para for the win. Luckily, you guys won this week. Otherwise, it would have been making jokes about, this photo was as good as Para's output over the last 4 weeks. But, we'll give this a 1 out of 4. Just like Para's record at the moment. Hey, Jamie, hope you're well. Content's been great. And you said thank you, so appreciate that. Decent amount of money in the bank, so have a bit of room to work with. Overrank it just under 11,000. We'll show Thompson if he doesn't get into the attack. His scores are low, and with a tough draw upcoming, I think these low scores could be a trend. Yeah, the rest of their draw does help a little bit, but yeah, I can see him getting the 30-odd, the 15. If you want to trade him, that's fine, but as long as you have cover in that, in those positions, where just the moment you've got Cam Pereira, and that is all. But I understand that you don't want to be playing Thompson each and every week, so maybe you chuck in Warbrick and you keep Cam Pereira as your cover, and you can trade out Isaac Thompson. He's just there for cover. That's the main thing there. Katoa starting half this week. Do I need to make a move on Boyd? I think you can hold Tanner Boyd this week just because he's been doing pretty well. 109k in the bank. BMM high minutes with a low work rate. He's so cheap. Is it worth selling? Look, you've got a couple of cheap guys in here. Look, you've got a couple of cheap guys in here, so I definitely think that he could be worth trading out. Other things to do there would be to hold this week and then move on from a Cartwright next week and try to build up towards like a Nico Hines or maybe another good half like a Mitch Moses or something like that. So Katoa would be okay to play this week. Bring Tanner Boyd in next one, but you do want to improve that position. You do want to improve your wing fullbacks as well. Obviously, you've got plenty of cash up top. So I'd understand if you wanted to trade Harris down to a slightly cheaper guy, and you have plenty of edges at the moment. Hopgood could come up to your mids. You got Ford as cover in that mid position, and then you spend that money on getting to a better half, getting to a better wing fullback. Have a think of that, man. That could be a good idea to go for this week. All right, we've got 2 more teams, just the ones that put so much effort who are in the private group. So big thanks to Buslane and also Maddie there for all their hard work. All right, so number 4, Tohu and Murray thoughts. So very, very interesting. We spoke about Murray there because he's been playing solidly and doesn't look incredible at the moment. There's guys that are scoring sort of 50 that are a lot cheaper than him. I understand why you'd look to move him on, and Tohu. They're very, very similar situations with, Tohu's not going to be making any money anytime soon. Murray is losing money at the moment also, which is not the main reason you have them in your side. You're wanting them for good points. And you look at Murray and you get him all the way to 13. So that'd be the reason why I'd hold him. Tohu, he's going to be a season-long keeper, regardless of what happens here, whether he's out for a week, whether he plays on limited minutes for the week. So Tohu is a clearer sell to start with because you can use that money to improve your team elsewhere. If Murray helps you get straight to Nicho Hynes, then I can understand that as well because Nicho could probably average 70, whereas Murray is looking around that 60 mark. So it's important to get those top guns that you can clearly captain in your side. So that's something important there, which we'll speak about in the next section. So that's probably my general thoughts on Tohu and Murray, and we'll go through the captaincies after we go through Buslane's team. He's overall ranked 7-2-5-1, had a decent score last week. Banked 2 trades so far, 106 in the bank. Was ideally not trading this week, but had Teddy temptations, and everything changed thanks to Hosking being named. It sucks. Also, trade thoughts. Sucks that Hosking's named. We all hate it. Also, trade thoughts. Do nothing, or is Hosking a must? Not a clear must, but we'll have a look at your squad there. Bank the trades. Let my team make some coin as they are. Well, that's a good thing. If you've got a lot of money makers, obviously Tamari Martin's not nice. It's not nice that he's not playing. Guys like Nickel Klukstar are doing a job in your side. You've got Miller, Warbrick, Tebojevic. If you're wanting to get to someone like Teddy over the next few weeks, then that could be a good play. Thoughts are Tim, Marty, Martin, and CNK to Hosking and under 365, hands AKP, or cheapie, Bostock, only one. I'm not super excited in bringing in any of those cheapies at the moment, so I would lean against that right now. Tamari Martin and CNK to Teddy and Bostock could be okay. Guns and cheapie, Fantasy 101, yep, the old school days. Miss out on Hosking, trade out to round 13 players. That's definitely something to think about as well. Both Tamari Martin and Charles Nickel Klukstar both have a little bit of cash to make, so is it worth just holding this week? I don't know if it's worth jumping to Teddy and Bostock, who has a little bit of job security issues, where Tamari Martin, you could use him as a loop, and CNK should be serviceable enough, even against the Sharks. Other options, someone scoring well with money still to be made. For Hosking, who scores better and will make more money, Leoro, Cardi, Katoa, single trade makes me feel dirty. Yeah, don't do it. I don't like it. Something stupid, Murray and Harley Smith-Shields to Hosking and Teddy. Ignores Fantasy 101, deletes that. Yeah, let's just leave it. I reckon you can hold the trades this week, Buslane. All right, captaincy options this week. Look at the writing on this. This is great. So we're going to finish with this, which is awesome. So, thoughts, captaincy. Let's have a look at this squad here. We've got Sean Johnson. How good is he? His little picture there. Very, very lucky Matty had. He reversed a few of his trades, so I'll explain that in a second. But captaincies, Nicho Hynes, I think clearly number 1. Nathan Cleary, number 2. Jermaine Hopgood, a solid tied 3rd. Him and Haas, I think Haas clearly 3, just because he hasn't had a poor score like Hopgood has. Hopgood's number 4, and then potentially Harry Grant, and then someone like Cam Murray and Damien Cook. They're your next best options in that order, I think, guys. So take that as you will. Okay, still a little to play with here. 239 in the bank. Had a cracker round 4 rank. Got 1,048 last week. Move over, Champ Cheese. It's the Jack Cheese. Thank you. Yeah, had a good one last week. So he's in the private group, coming 39th out of the 103. JB seeded league 5, so 9 out of 18. That's in the head-to-head league, which is cool. All right, need a hooker this week with Luke out too. So Tanner Boyd has to be moved to the bench at least. Yeah, no Sonny Luke as well. Captain now is moving to Cleary, it looks like, which will be fun. Yeah, he only brought in Johnson last second after reversing Butcher to Robson trade. Thank you, Jamie, for the reverse tip. So yeah, how I spoke about this, guys, is if your trades that you are making in your side this week, they aren't playing in that first Thursday game, do not make the trades yet, because a lot of the time, one of your trades gets locked in. You can reverse one, but you can't reverse the second. So if things change across the weekend, which it did here with guys like Trindle not playing in there, and what happened here is Warbrick got a nice score of 64, and then he was like, oh, I don't have anyone to loop. So therefore he went, oh, I don't have to trade this week, which he was going to do. He was going to go Butcher to Robson there. Didn't do it. Ended up trading Butcher elsewhere, I think. Is that right? Yeah, it doesn't have Butcher anymore. So did that. So he's able to keep Trindle in there, who wasn't playing, once he found that out. And he could loop that to get Warbrick's score. It wasn't worth getting in Robson because, 64 was most likely going to beat Robson, and it was not worth making that trade. So it's something you guys should be doing here going forward. How cool's the Nike sponsorship with the tick there? Started average, went real average, and then up to a good rank here at 6,500. So Still trying to milk a bit of these cashies of these 4. So Trindle, Dury, Luke, and Martin. I think that's completely fair, but it feels like too many, with others likely to stop gaining cash in a few weeks. Should I trade 1 or 2 of this week to not get stuck with too many non-earners? Possible trades: Luke to Kenny, 42k remaining. Not bad. Luke to Hands, plus Dury to Hosking. That's okay. I think, look, you can probably keep Luke. I'd probably suggest just go Dury to Hosking if you can do that, which you can. Luke to Brayley plus Dury to Gred, blah, blah, yuck. Dury to Kenny, solid 80k in the bank. Dury to Hands, 330k. I really like the Luke. I think you just go Dury to Hosking, man. I don't know if it's worth going nuts. Looks like Kenny, Hands, and Brayley only cheap mid-price hooker options right now. So either go for safety with Kenny, risk it with Hands to get Hosking too, or extra cash, or risk it with a base price cashy to afford the potential gun Brayley. Extra cash would help in getting Teddy or Hines soon. So yeah, that makes it hard. Luke to Kenny could just be a solid one. Dury to Kenny is fine also. Obviously you need that hooking role this week. Do you go Trindle to Kenny, Dury to Hosking? Can you do that? Don't think you can, do you? Do you just missed out? Yeah, it could be it. Might just have to go just the one trade and just go to Midge Kenny this week. It's probably the best way to go about it. Round 4 trade-ins, he went so Sloan and Johnson in. I did go Ian Butcher in the end to Johnson and Talau. Yeah, so that's right. He was going to do Robson, but decided last minute to go Johnson in for Butcher and then Talau to Sloan. Week before, Preston and Tabuai Fido. That worked out well. And then Katoa to Cartwright in round 2. So trades have been great so far, and it shows that if you have a poor start, you can definitely climb the leaderboard there. So that is that video, guys. I hope that helped you. Obviously, Maddie, I'm sure you're going to DM me anyway and go through this a bit more because it is pretty tough. I just don't like being able to bring in guys like Hands, who I don't think are going to do a great job. You could do the Hands, Luke to Hands, Dury to Hosking. That would be okay. You just have to look to improve that hooking position over the next bunch of weeks. So maybe that's the play as well if with the 2 trades, but the 1 trade I think will be fine too. So you can pick up Hosking with the 2, or you just go straight to Kenny and shore up that spot there, and you can interchange Tanner and Mitch Kenny in that one. Good luck with your trades this week. My trades video will be out very, very soon, I believe, if I'm doing it the right way around. See you later.